if I'm making, you know, 6, 7, 8,000 a month, especially you talking about the late 90s, early 2000s, I'm like, okay, that's cool, right? So I didn't know anything about equity, leveraging. I didn't know none of that. I didn't shit. I just knew how to buy them and pay people to do the work and flip them, you know, and I never sold a house. I just, you know, I wanted the residual income. So anyway, I ended up meeting a lady that worked for one of the local banks down there. And so I remember having lunch with her and she was like, how many properties you own? And so she asked me how much I owed on them. I was like, oh, I don't owe nothing on them. She was like, so you got 17 properties free and clear? I said, yeah. She was like, oh, okay. So long story short, I say probably within 6 months, she got me a line of credit for $1.5 million.
A million, absolutely.
Over those houses. And that's when the light bulb went off, like, oh, that's how this works. You know what I mean? And so that's where, but it all started with me, honestly, trying to prepare to go to jail because of what I was doing. That's how that started. You know?
Savage! I'm a savage! Oh!
Yeah, real talk. That's how it started. So that's why I always say half the battle is showing up. You don't have to know all the information. You don't, anything that I've succeeded in, even in making movies, I never went to film school, real estate, whatever it was. I just showed up, you know, with the confidence. Again, going back to what I told you I learned from Pete, I just showed up, did the work, knowing that I was going to bump my head a few times and did it, you know. But again, now I don't want to paint that picture as if it was just all wins and it was all no. Because, you know, in this life, you take L's too. You got to be prepared for that as well. So I've taken my L's too. So, you know, just like the streets, right? You know, in that 08, 09, all that real estate crash shit. Oh yeah. I got cute with it. So I had Kansas City on lock. So I got cute, like, oh, I'm gonna go to Atlanta and repeat and do the same thing. But this time I'm gonna do it with a bunch of 6-figure properties. Yeah, well, 08, 09 let me know what time it was. And they was like, oh yeah, you thought you was cute, huh? Oh yeah, you paid $250 for that? Yeah, that motherfucker worth $75,000 now. So, you know, I end up losing, was it 8 properties coming out of, you know, doing in Atlanta with doing that shit. So, you know, the L's come with it. So you have to be prepared for that. But those are just lessons, you know.
Never lost, only a lesson, bro.
Only a lesson.
Yeah, but then what made you want to transit? I mean, you're already in film and music, you're in media already. But what made you want to double down and like do Hole in Court and actually focus on the podcasting space, bro?
It was really, like I said before, just, you know, it was during COVID, actually. It was during COVID that I was sitting still. And then I started watching Gangster Chronicles. I'm watching Nori and them, Drink Champs. I'm watching, you know, Vlad. I never really paid attention to that stuff till then because I'm sitting still. So I was like, damn, I might have something to offer in this space. And so my homeboy, producer Ken, who I initially started the show with, you know, we've been friends 20 years. He's a producer. So he was like, so it started initially, I was like, man, let's do a podcast where we talk about all the 90s shit, all the music we grew up on. I want to talk about that shit. So that's how it started. And so what happened was when I saw the guest model, I've been here 22 years. I know a lot of people, you know, relationships, as we said before, relationships. So I start calling all my celebrity friends. Like, you know what? I got this show I'm gonna do, man. You want to come through and do it? Wasn't nobody doing shit. It was COVID. They was like, yeah. You know, so, you know, I called Michael Jai White, who's a personal friend. I called Jay Prince. I called P. I called Silk. I called everybody. I called Lil E. Everybody that I knew personally. And they came through, you know, and then once I started learning and I really started studying the space, I said, okay, I don't want to just entertain, but I also want to inspire. I also want to make us look good. The culture. I want to show that, you know, we can be from these environments. We can have these difficult conversations, but we can be articulate. We can be smart. You know, we can be compassionate. So I wanted to show that we're, you know, that we have these levels and these colors to us, you know, especially coming from, like I say, the urban and hip hop street space. And so far it's resonated is that the most gratifying thing I get is when people, you know, I travel a lot, people will recognize me. And when they come up and say, man, I love how you represent the culture, brother. I love how when you had Crip Mac on, you told him some real shit. Or when you had this guest on, man, it inspired me. Kind of like you guys, you know, so it was setting out with a purpose, you know, not just to, yeah, we can have fun. We could talk shit. We could do that, you know, but interim that you're going to get inspired. You're going to learn something, you know. So I just wanted to bring that balance to the culture. So that's why that was really the defining factor.
Love that, bro.
Sound like the same story, cuz.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Like the same fucking story, cuz. Like, look in the mirror right now. Like, you know.
Shit,
Yeah.
but I was gonna ask you too. Like, what's the how did you learn the business aspect of it, right? Because you getting good guests on. You think you gotta think about so many different things. People just think it's turn on a podcast and do it, and it's not. We talking
It's
about
not.
buying cameras. We got the black
Right.
magic cameras.
Nah.
We got this. We got lighting kits. We got all this thing. And me and Cuzzo do it just ourselves. We have no
Yeah.
help. It's
Yeah.
just me and Cuzzo. And then you got to figure out distribution. Then you got to
Yeah.
figure out social media. Then you got to figure out all this thing. So
Right.
you being on Revolt, Detavio. Shout out to Detavio. That's the bro. He
Shout
been
out
on
to
the show.
Batavio.
Now to Datavio, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that's
was
the
we was
bro.
with him in October for Black Week.
That's what's up. And
Yeah,
going back real quick, just to come in on the message of what
Yeah.
I said earlier when I said what's for you is for you, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing Datavio. I was with me and P. We were down at Revolt in Atlanta a couple years back. I was probably a year into the podcast. I didn't know who Datavio was, right? But I could tell by the way people were acting toward him, he was somebody. And so I'm literally feet away from him, but I didn't feel like it was the right time. It wasn't the right space because of the capacity that I'm here in. You know, I'm here with P, they doing business with P. It just didn't feel like the right time. So I
Right.
literally sat back. I sat back and didn't say nothing. And so fast forward probably 6 or 7 months, you know what I mean? I end up with Revolt and Datavio ends up pitching me over there. You see what I'm saying? So
Okay.
what's for you is for you. What God has for you is for you. You know, I didn't rush it. And as I've gotten older, I learned that, brother, like what's for you is for you. It's all in God's time. I wasn't thirsty. I was like, well, I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna keep working. It'll come. If I'm supposed to do that, then it'll happen. And it did. But to go back to your question, learning the business, I'm still learning, you know, because things are always changing, you know, and you know, that's just life. You know, you always are pliable and are a sponge because things are always changing. Before the podcast, bro, I had never posted a video to YouTube. I'm not the techie dude. I didn't understand social media.
Yeah.
I didn't really do that shit. You know what I mean? I'm from the 90s, so I was just doing the bare minimum and really just I had a profile just to see what everybody else was doing, you know. But again, you have to be a student of what it is that you do. And yes, I see a lot of people, they think that the podcasting is like the new rapper. You know, everybody think they can get a camera, get a mic, get a couple people, we're gonna talk, we're gonna turn up and we're gonna blow up and go viral. No. Most people are not going to last because they're not going to be consistent, because in totality, a lot of people are doing it. That's why I say I don't chase money, because when you're chasing money, that only applies in the street because that's all it is. But anything else, you know, legitimate, you would really have to have a passion for it, because you're not going to yield the results immediately like that. So you have to love it, you know, and then when you're doing something you love, the money will creep up on you. And you'll be like, oh shit, y'all, this is what it is, you know. So yeah, I had to learn it, just trial and error, to be very honest with you. I did get a lot of game from shout out to Steele from Gangster Chronicles. He used to lace me with game and give me advice and different things like that. But I studied, man. I just studied what everybody else was doing. I paid attention. I made the necessary changes. That's the other part. I tell people all the time, you can be stubborn with your goals, but you have to be flexible with your methods, you know.